Good morning, good afternoon. So glad you could be here. So glad I could be with you. I've got almost a kind of by request video, and I'm not sure that any has really been done on this, but I wanted to assist my wonderful community here in a, direction of preparations that not many people have taken. And I know a lot of you have purchased the UV5R Baofengs because of their cheapness and their ability. They're dual band transceiver. And so today I've got a bit of an instructional video for you. Let's do a little house cleaning first. Clean out some bad energy, and I'm going to do a disclaimer. This video will be viewed by people all around the world. So if you feel the need to get on a soapbox and tell me what's legal, what's not legal, how we're going to get in trouble or not get in trouble, if you're going to be a policeman, you're gone. I'll delete you and you won't ever have a comment on my video again. It'll be gone. You must understand there are people all over the world with different legal situations, and this is an instructional video on knowledge on what you can do with one of these. Now, it will be everybody's own responsibility to either meet or not meet the laws that they feel they need to. Let's leave that discussion off of this video. Thank you so much. Now let's have some fun, because there are some really neat things that we can do, because what I'm going to show you should be legal for just about everybody, regardless of where you are, if you understand what I am going to share with you. Okay, so first off, most places around the world do require you to have some kind of license or permission in order to use one of these on certain frequencies. There are some frequencies that no, you do not have to. And like I said, we're not going to get into the discussion. But what you can do is buy one of these. You do not need permission to own one. You do not need permission to own a bigger one that is a mobile. You don't need permission to get these things, for one. And considering where we're going, today's discussion has to do with what you can use them for in the situations that we are fast seeing approach us in shutdown modes, and the potential for the loss of communication via social media. That we go back to the old ways of communicating that we first came out with, which were radio or CBs. And CBs are still out there. A lot of people have forgotten about them because we got these stupid things. And so there you go. So the first thing we want to do is discuss the some resource information. Okay, so the objective is, as stated in the title, how do we turn one of these into a scanner so that we can use the radio to keep track of the emergency frequencies in your area, not my area, in your area, for paying attention to things that are happening. Emergencies, fires, rescue, civil unrest, those kinds of things. That's what we're wanting to pay attention to, so that we know what the conditions are in our most local area. Okay? So, the very first thing I want to do is I'm going to get my big old head out of the way here and minimize this, and we're going to look at my channel. Now, I put up a bunch of videos because I'm not going to show you how to program them for the 4th or 5th time. I want to take you to the videos that I have done, and they are pretty extensive in the tutorials of how to program your radios. Okay, so if you go to my playlist button right there and you scroll through here, and let me see if I can find it there. Baofeng radios right there. There are 4 videos that discuss how to actually plug in your programming cable into the radio and use this software called Chirp. It is a freeware you can download off the internet and install. All you need is to get the cable, the programming cable, and these radios come with a programming cable, and most every radio that you buy, as let's say you bought a Yaesu or any one of the a GE or any one of the more expensive, higher quality brands, better name brands, if you wanted to, all the same thing. This software will allow you, so if I click on download from radio right here, it gives me the vendor, and you can see I've got Baofeng, BTEC, ICOM, Jetstream, KYD, Kenwoods. There's a lot of different varieties plus the model number, but we're talking about the UV5R, so that's where I'm set at, and I cannot, because I'm not connected, I don't need to program any. We're talking about how you're going to program it to turn it into a scanner. Okay, so the first thing you need is to have the software, have the radio, and the ability to program that radio. The next thing is you want to know what it is that you need to program into your radio, and everybody here is going to have a different set of frequencies. Let's go back here and let's go to this website, radioreference.com. Okay, this is where you're going to find the best that's out there, because a lot of hams and people in the need to know have shared this information for public use. Okay, first thing I want to tell you when it comes to the information and the frequencies is there are 2 types of signals. There's analog and there's digital. Most of your older frequencies or older systems are all analog. However, where the governments have the budget to spend whatever they want to, many have upgraded to digital radios, in which case essentially being able to listen in to those would not be feasible unless you happen to know somebody that could give you the digital code to get into it. And that's not likely to happen for most of us. It just isn't. But let's just say that most of the rescue and fire and police and sheriff and all that are on some old analogs. And I promise you all of those agencies are on, still have their analog backup and could use it if things get hectic and they need a lot of traffic. Many of you who've been with me for a while remember way back up in Montana, there was a massive forest fire that broke out in the Bitterroot Valley down on the south side of Hamilton. And when it happened, the responses that were necessary basically sucked up every one of the secondary channels that were out there and being used. So I did a quick video for you. I had 3 or 4 of these on scan and tuned in to multiple of the frequencies, and I was listening to each of the crews that were doing. Oh, we're up such and such a road. We're in dense, heavy smoke. There's fire here. All that stuff was going on. So it can keep you apprised of a lot of things that are happening with police frequencies. Most of the time, you sit back and you listen to them pulling people over. Here's, John Doe. Here's his number and address, and then they got a woman in the background who's saying, "Oh, yep, working on the computer. We found that there's a record of this and a record of that." And, well, that's the way it goes. So to find these frequencies the best that we can, we want to go to Database, Frequency Database. And we'll click on that. And it's going to bring up a map here. And you're going to choose your state. And let's just for fun pick this state right here, Tennessee. Alright, let's just say you're in Tennessee and you want to see, oh look, that's interesting. It's been updated in the past 24 hours, so there are some new updates on those 3 counties. There are new updates in the past week in these counties. Interesting. I'm just going to, at random, choose that location right there. Okay, here's Knoxville. Oh, look at what we have here. Knox County Sheriff. There's the frequency, 155.535. There's their license. You can look that up. There's their tone. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. In order to be able to listen, sometimes they post them, sometimes they don't. So when you go into chirp, that tone goes right here. So when you enter the information or the frequency, it will go into this column. You will give it a name, and that might be, let's say, KNX SH for Knox Sheriff. You can label it whatever you want to, and you could put in the tone. Let's see what others we have here. Advanced communication. Okay, see, these are the tactical networks. They're TAC networks, and they've got a whole list of them: the licenses, the types, the tones, and alpha tags, and all this information right here. Alright, so once you find your location, and you can see, here's the emergency medical stuff, the schools. There is a lot of stuff that you have available in certain areas. And the frequencies that you're going to be looking at are either these right here, which are in the VHF. So this is VHF in the 150s. The UHF is the 400s. When you get down here, your radio will not transmit on these 800 frequencies, the truncated stuff. You cannot use these, but you can use these on that radio. And these the 400. So there's some other local stuff, the city. So you have to select what you want to, the main ones that you want to listen to. And let's see, University of Tennessee Medical Center. So you could, there's all kinds of, well, that's a 800 frequency. Anyway, all that information you're going to take and you're going to put in here. You're going to put the frequency here in the channel location that you want. You'll hand enter it by clicking on and editing, then putting the name in, editing, and so on and so forth, putting the tone in. And then when you get to this duplex right here, when you get to the, alright, so let me scroll down here. These are the, show you, this is a file for my radio. There are the ham national frequencies that I've got on here. I've cleaned out a lot of my personal stuff here because I don't want that on the video. But these are the national. So these frequencies right here, you can look them up. I'll show you that here in just a minute. But these are the national frequencies for hams to communicate. A lot of, oh heck, the ham clubs and stuff use these frequencies. And then you get down to, these were the ones that I was using up in the Missouri area, up around the West Plains area. So you got Howell Sheriff 2, and there's one of their frequencies, and that's UHF. And then down here, Ambulance, Hospital, West Plains Police, that was theirs, and they had a tone. But notice here on the duplex, on this column right here, whoops, go back down here. Go back down here. On these frequencies that are the agency frequencies, I highly recommend that you select off. Off is allowing you to listen but not transmit. And you don't want to make the mistake of accidentally hitting the push to talk button, push to talk button, and actually transmitting on one of the emergency frequencies, because it is traceable. Not likely that if you did it once that they would be able to necessarily find you, but depending upon how obnoxious you got, they might. Because the technology is there. So I recommend having an off position. I do have one radio set aside for emergencies that I have programmed. So I have multiples, and I have different frequency sets for different radios for different purposes and for different scanning purposes. So I have multiple of these radios. One radio is set up to scan the ham frequencies, the national frequencies, so that if I want to, I can turn it on. I can let it sit there and rotate through all of these different national frequencies to see who might be out there in the public in the ham world. And then I have this particular radio was set up to scan for the emergency frequencies. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over here to this column. You notice here where it says skip, and you've got an S. If you click on that one twice, it's either an S or blank. Okay? So if it's an S, that means when you hit the scan button, which is this little star button here, you hit that. Oops, let me turn the volume up so you can hear this. I've got no sound on this one. Oh, there we go. There we go. So you hold that down. I got to unlock it first.
Unlock.
There, unlocked. And then I can hit the scan button.
Scanning begin.
Whoops. So it immediately jumped over to Howell County Sheriff, and apparently there's some transmissions there. But you can do that. So if you want to scan a set of frequencies, you want to make sure the skip channel doesn't have an S in it. Otherwise, it will skip it. The ones that that are blank are the frequencies that you'll run through scanning. So these were the frequencies up in that area. Then there's a bunch of them. You can see I've got a lot of them that were in here. And you see VTAC. Those are the tactical frequencies of multiple channels that an area will have. So if the city is big enough to where they have the potential for that many responders, and you have it like a massive multi-car pileup or fire or something where you're going to have many different units that will be responding to it, so that they don't talk over top of each other, that's when they start dispersing the frequencies. Oh, unit so-and-so jump to TAC 12, unit so-and-so go to or they may just, whatever code they use, they'll have that dispersed so that people don't talk on top of each other, so that you have clearer communications. So those are the things I would recommend, that you make sure that if you add frequencies, any of these frequencies that you would find in your area. So let's hit the back button. and that's the state map. And then you can go to the state itself and find what you've got. Now you notice these green, there's been updates pretty recently, yellow within a week. You see what's going on. There's changes that are always being made. New licensing taken out by municipalities and such. So I hope this is helpful. It's really simple. Like I said, in order to get the full lesson in how to program, go to my my Baofeng programming, and it's going to be like that with a lot of different brands, a lot of different radios. Chirp has done a very good job of trying to put out a free product that can cover just about everything. If you can get them, now mind you, with the lockdown in supply chain, it might be difficult to get these now, but eBay had them pretty good. There's still some in America that might be sold, and these are good mobile. This has a much better range. All right, I'll leave it with one last explanation here on the range of these things. I do recommend getting the upgraded antenna, not these rubber ducky antennas, because of the range. Your range is determined by the quality of antenna. Period. Amen. It's just that simple. And if you are in flat territory, these are pretty good out to 15-20 miles pretty easy if you don't have hills. These are all line of sight, and that's why you see cell towers put the receivers way up high in the air, especially around hilly areas, so that you can come into your terrain at an angle and get over top of hills. If I've actually used these out to 30 miles, pretty good. But if you want a little bit more reach, you definitely want to go with a mobile. It takes a little bit more for that. And if anybody or any of you are interested, I have some folks that can help with a radio setup. And if you email me, email's in the description, I will give you the contacts for the radio guys that I've worked with, and they can help you even further in not only legal requirements but equipment, especially antennas and such. So, all right, folks, I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section. I'll do my best to address them all. Thank you all, and have a good one.